And we are back yet another week from Palm Beach. The Palm Beach is I think it's the happy capital of the United States, quite honestly. It's always pretty in Palm Beach. Even when it rains, it's liquid sunshine. We're all just kind of happy here. This is Doug Evans. I'm the president and CEO of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and I come to you once a week with your Palm Beach Guide. We talk to our members who are members of the Chamber of Commerce. We talk about different businesses. We talk about who they are, where they came from, those kinds of things. And today it's no different. I've got a wonderful, wonderful good friend here who's a member of the Chamber of Commerce. He's also got his fingers in so many interesting things here in town. He is also the person behind the mirror for the company he works for and with, Levi Blasdel, who is here today with Scott Snyder is the name of the company. Levi, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for spending time with me on the air, as they say.
Thank you, Doug. I'm happy to be here.
So, Levi, all right, I met you 6 months to a year ago, and then I kind of watched you move through the community here, which is not an easy market, by the way, especially with the field you're in. There's a lot of competition, but you have such a sense of joie de vivre, happiness for life, those kinds of things. So tell me about Scott Snyder, who is a legend in Palm Beach and his company. And then I want to hear more about you. So tell me about Scott Snyder and the company and what you guys do and a little bit more about you guys.
Of course. So Scott Snyder, as everybody knows, or those who don't know, is an interior designer. Has been on Palm Beach for 40 years, roughly. And he has been here through the changing of the guard for the last 40 years, goes on. And it really is just an incredible company to work with. Being with him and he has a very traditional style. Most of his clients like that traditional style. And he's able to turn with the tide. So if a client wants something more transitional or modern, he can do all of it. But he has represented a number of clients on Palm Beach. And when we drive through Palm Beach, he's like, oh yeah, I know that house. And knows the history of the home.
Sure.
And the 6 other people that owned it before them. And really, it's an incredible contact to have, and I'm very happy to be here working with Scott.
If you know the history of the town, which clearly he does, I've been here almost as long, and I kind of watch the transitions and changes. Scott is a legend. I mean, everybody knows his name. If they've never met him, they know his name. And what's nice about this, Levi, is when you see some of the designs he's done, you recognize it immediately because he's got such a stamp, such a look that it's a Scott Snyder, correct? I mean, that's all I can say. And it's like, you can't explain it. Like when you see a design of a house, an architect, or you see the design of a car, you know what it is. And with Scott, that's true. So, he's always been a designer. Did he do anything before 40 years ago, or how did he get into the business? I'm just kind of curious.
I don't know how much everybody knows, but he came down here. And he came down here from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And he was working as a florist and also did some events and things like that. And his business really picked up from, doing the events for the client. And then the client's like, I really like this space. What do you think if we were to add a few pieces here, a few pieces there? And it continued to grow from there to where he started Scott Snyder Incorporated and just has a beautiful relationship with his clients. I mean, not only do we provide interior design service to our clients, but we also help them with everything from lifestyle to events to whatever charities or whatever they want to get involved in. It's really a full service. Scott Snyder is really just a full service friend to have.
I had no idea that he does events and lifestyle. I had no idea. Yeah. I just always thought him as an interior designer, quite honestly. That surprises me.
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
Yeah, because a lot of people, Levi, I think through the pandemic got out of that business, the lifestyle business. They where they could hold on, they held on. And I didn't worry about people like Scott because he has a book of business that's just amazing and knows so many people. But a lot of the lifestyle events people went out of business. Yeah. Because they lost everything. And that you guys continue to occupy that space, to me, is fascinating. So with the churn, I'll call it the churn, with the turnover of houses here in Palm Beach, and anywhere from $15 million to $170 million, basically, just it's the house of the week or whatever kind of thing. And it's funny because you got to admit, when people hear about the cost of properties that are changing hands, and it's the big ones that make the press, by the way, it's not all of them. It's it's not the 600,000, the 1.4 million. There's a lot of those here in the market also, quite honestly. People say, I couldn't afford to live in Palm Beach. Well, depending on where you're on the island, if you want a condo or a house, there mostly is a price point for everyone, depending on where you look. That's the truth. Yeah. And I know this fact because I know a lot of people who have a condo for sale right now that's $600,000. Now, that's a lot of money. Make no mistake. But when the clients you're working with, Levi, and with Scott, these houses are millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they turn over. And in your experience, when they turn over, do people do a wholesale change on the inside also?
It's painful. Luckily, a lot
It's
of the,
painful, he says, with
luckily,
great restraint.
A lot of the houses that are on Palm Beach right now are very well done architecturally, or architecturally sound. So when we're lucky, we have a client that likes to preserve the original architecture. I mean, we might make a few changes. They have a thing, more of a catchphrase now that people like to be transitional. They like the traditional architecture of their home, and then we'll bring in furniture that's a little more edgy or paintings or artwork. But yeah, every now and again, we'll have a client go through a house, let's say Scott designed 20 years ago. They'll come in like, this is nice, but I want to get rid of this library and make it something a little less formal. So it is great to give a client what they want, but it's also painful when you've already invested for the previous owner. You know what went into making this beautiful library that came from merit. And they're like, I just want something a little less formal, maybe a little less dark.
So how do you handle that? I mean, with Scott and with you, there's got to be an emotional attachment to this. And do you ever find yourself saying, do you realize how much they spent on this? And do you realize that this is from X, Y, and Z? How do you handle that? Because to me, it's an education process, but if they just don't like it, they just don't like it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things, it's like art. Art is really in the eye of the beholder.
Correct.
So for some people, like, oh, this is really ugly. And then when you have the artist explain.
That's a technical term, ugly. This is really ugly.
They're like, it's a little too much for me. And then you have the artist explain why it is what it is and why it's valuable. So Scott is very good about romancing the houses because he knows what went into it. He knows why it has the architecture that it has. And that's why we want to maintain it and preserve it. That's one of his best attributes is romancing a home for our clients. Our clients will also come to us when they're looking to buy a home. Like these are the parameters that we want. We have these many kids or grandkids. We like to host these types of dinners and events. And then we will walk through 20 houses with the client. Like, this is what you can have. These are the things that we can adjust. These are the things that are really of value to the house that you should maintain.
Value to the house.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the houses in Palm Beach, I'd say 75% of them are pieces of art.
They are.
They're
Absolutely.
Really, I mean, not everything is on the preservations list of houses to keep or landmarks, but a lot of them should be left untouched. And if anyone's been to town council or ARCOM, it is a constant battle for people who want to make changes that should be appropriate and then other things that we want to preserve.
Yeah, that's fascinating for me. And it's something that you deal with on a daily basis. And I go to the town council meetings every month. I do not go to ARCOM, which is the committee that talks about the architectural commission here in town. There's the preservation folks who, if you buy one of these houses from 1928, it's on a list that you can't touch it, basically. And it's even as much, and for the listeners out there in Palm Beach, it's not about not changing things. It's not about that, but it's about maintaining a quality of life in our town is what it looks like. Yeah. And the consistency of the look of the town. For example, there's a zoning restriction on heights of buildings. Great. That's terrific because we don't want it to turn into other seaside locations where you've got these 57-story buildings popping up on the beach. Yeah. Now, the reason that's important is there's the aesthetics, but there's also the infrastructure. The amount of cars and traffic and things like that, the town just won't handle. We're a landlocked island. So when you have somebody who's buying a house like that, Levi, and they say, I really want to change the color of the door, sometimes you've got to say, you can't. The town will not allow it, correct?
Yeah, correct. I mean, even if you want to change the exterior windows, just the same style, but you want to go from steel to wood or vice versa, you have to go to ARCOM approval because we have to preserve the beauty of Palm Beach. Yeah. The whole point of the architectural committee and town council is to preserve beauty and what makes Palm Beach
special
Beach.
And a brand.
And we don't want Miami here. We don't want these very modern all glass homes. There's a beauty that is Palm Beach that we do our best to try to keep that beauty alive.
It's interesting to me, the place I live in, they decided to paint the building white. It was white before, but they still had to go for permission. Because white to white, they want to make sure it's the exact same thing, that it's not a variation, because they're, as I understand it, Levi, and I'm not a pro in this field, but there must be about 4,000 different colors of white, quite honestly. There's snow white, there's Arctic white, there's marabou white, there's caribou white, there's, shish kaboom white kind of a thing. And it's like, I had no idea. So you guys are very diligent in understanding the rules in the town here. And these historic homes, you said, they're pieces of art. And what I love, one of the many things I love about the town I live in is, it's not fake. I mean, when you go to this beautifully manicured town, it is like a movie set, but it's not like a movie set because it's very livable. Makes sense?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
It's very little. People actually live here and work here. It's the darndest thing, right? It's not like just a resort town. So you guys are responsible for putting those kinds of things together to maintain that quality. And Scott's been doing it for years. So Levi, how long have you worked for Scott Snyder?
I've almost been there for 3 years now.
That's a long time. Where did you come from?
I came down from New York. I represented another interior designer in New York City. And then when COVID locked down the entire city, a good friend, mutual friend of Scott's and mine was like, you really should talk to Scott because, he's got something great going down here in Palm Beach and there's nothing going on in New York. You should come down. And when I came down here, I think it was March of 2021, New York is still on full lockdown. And I came down to Palm Beach and everyone is out. There's no masks.
Running around, just doing their thing.
Just living their life just the way it was before. And it's great. I mean, it's beautiful here all year round, even when it is cold, like this last week.
Just beautiful.
It was still 58 degrees. There's no snow. It's really a tremendous place to live.
But it's hot. It gets hot in the summer, Levi. Now, I have my answer for that, but what is your answer? It gets hot in the summer.
No, I'm still fine with it. There's AC everywhere.
There is. And also, you're a New Yorker, and I did my sentence in New York for 5 years in the city. And, there's nothing like New York in August on the streets. It's ridiculous. No. There's no breeze. There's nothing, with Palm Beach, the winds are blowing all the time, basically. It's nice. And so you've got that. So you worked for a designer before in New York City. Yes. And what's your training background? What education, training, experience? What field did you come out of? Was this always your passion?
My passion is business consultation.
Okay.
So I've had the pleasure to work with a number of very talented individuals. But before that, I was consulting in entertainment. And before that, I was consulting in the federal sector. And it's just wherever something takes me, as long as I can keep learning, keep growing, and expanding my horizons, I'm always thrilled to try something new.
I love people like that. You're listening to Doug Evans. It's your Palm Beach Guide. I'm the president and CEO of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and hope you're tuning in weekly on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, wherever you want to find it. I listen to my car, of course, on Apple News, and it's a lot of fun. So, Levi, you've had a patchwork of a life, of a career, and as I have also, by the way. Yeah, I think it's great.
It's the best way to live.
I've done all kinds of fun things, and with one of our interviews a couple of weeks ago, the guy from Naja Designs, I said, how hard can it be? Let's just do it. Let's just make it happen. And from getting to know you the last 6 months or so, I think you're that kind of a guy. It's like, let's just do it. Let's just make it happen. And you're one of the architects of another group here. We had Jeff Sofer from Coastal Gardens on a few weeks ago and all of his businesses who talked about something that you put together with Mr. Sofer. And I find it fascinating because recently you guys did something really great for the community. So will you tell me about Top of Mind and what this group is? Because I think people need to hear more about it.
So Top of Mind is originally Jeff started this group of individuals from Palm Beach were in the service industries or service professionals that provided basically all of our clients most of our clients are in Palm Beach. So we had this group of people who just get together, see what they're working on, see if they could help one another. And it continued to grow. And Scott had attended a couple of meetings. And I believe in May of this year, Scott's like, I'd really like for you to sit down and meet Jeff Sofer. This was the first time that he and I met. I was like, well, we'll see. I was a little skeptical at first.
He's a hurricane.
And then, after speaking with him that first meeting, I was like, this is a great idea. Like, this really could be something tremendous. And I went to their first meeting, or for myself, I think it was in June, and they were looking to figure out a way that they could all get involved together to do something for the community. And they weren't sure if they wanted to give to a charity or if they wanted to do marketing, or not really sure what direction they wanted to go. I said, giving back to the community that made your businesses is the best way to go. And we sat there for a little bit and we talked about charities and what we should do. And we had just gotten off of Scott Snyder and Keith Williams and myself. We just got off of the Lake Drive Park for the marina for Palm Beach. We just got done raising all the funds for that. And it was a beautiful success, but it was very difficult to try to bring in a group of people together to raise the funds, and it was expensive. And after that, we all sat down and we talked about it. We're like, we should really start our own charity and give back to Palm Beach, because there's so many things that we could be involved with, whether they're landscapes or some parks. And we are currently at 16 members, 16 businesses, and just made our very first donation of $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club to help buy a bus to pick up kids in rural communities that need something. They need a chance at a better life. Their parents have worked very hard to get them to this point, and the Boys and Girls Club offers these services where they'll take kids for after-school programs for continued education.
Wow.
And provide meals for these kids. And it's a tremendous opportunity for us to be able to be involved. And all of the members, 16 of the members, unanimously agreed that we would support the Boys and Girls Club, and whatever else we can do for them or for other charities throughout the year. Actually, something that you put me onto is the 3 T's with the time, talent, and treasure.
Correct, yeah.
And for the Boys and Girls Club, we're very happy to make the donation, and whatever else we can do with our time and talent. The Habitat for Humanity is another one where there's a lot of things that we can offer the community,
which is amazing,
out of the depth of our hearts. And Julia Murphy, she's absolutely wonderful.
She's phenomenal.
And it's just it's a great group of people to be involved with. We meet once a month. We'll have a speaker from the community, either Donnie Moore or
who's the mayor of Palm Beach. Yes.
Yeah, the mayor of Palm Beach presented. And we've had PR people come in. They just help everybody who's in the group with their business, what we can do. And it's also great because you build these strong relationships with other service providers that if I need a landscape architect, I know that I can call Dustin Mizell. Or if I need SMI, which is another landscape architect, or if we need landscaping, we know to call Jeff Sofer from Coastal Gardens, and on and on and on, which it's really incredible group.
I think the original genesis when I talked to Jeff about this before I met you was the group was formed because they wanted to find people that they knew they could trust to refer people to.
Absolutely.
That was the bottom line when I first met them. And I was in a wonderful business in the Riviera Beach area, and I was blown away by what they do there. It was like, if I'm going to recommend somebody, I want to trust them and know them because it's my reputation on the line. And that you, Levi, and Jeff, that you've evolved this into that same kind of group. 16 members each who have to give $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah.
Annually to join. So that's $160,000 every year that you can do good in the community. And you said something very, very important to me, and it's about giving back. And I've been in the charitable sector most of my career, and I've always worked with people, donors who made their money there, and they put their money where their mouth is. And I think the more that top of mind of the 16 members get that messaging out there, that when Levi says, Mrs. Smith, your big house, I just wanted we appreciate your business, and we are giving back to the community. Mrs. Smith needs to know that. And I think more people will find out more and more and more because you've had articles in the newspaper, you present to the Chamber of Commerce, but the more we do that, I'm committed to because I'm committed to you as a friend and also to Jeff. I know a lot of the other people, but you're my friends and my key stakeholders in the group, so top of mind is amazing. So the future of Palm Beach looks pretty darn rosy, Levi, as I can kind of see this. People are buying and selling houses. They're just flipping them and turning them and buy for 37 and sell it for 53 months, 50 million 3 months later. That's got to be good for your business or for Scott, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good for, I think, everybody in Palm Beach. It's very good for, again, the best part about the top of mind is that we have this tight-knit group of people that we know that we can trust.
Right.
So when we have a home that we've been working on for years and now it has a new owner, we know the people to call. Like if you want to change the landscaping, we know the people that we can trust. I know that if I call this individual, he's going to answer because we have such a strong relationship with them. And yeah, I don't see Palm Beach slowing down anytime soon.
I don't think so. I agree with you. I mean, I don't think it's going to, because I was talking to somebody yesterday about the history of Palm Beach in the 1960s. A lot of young people with families moved here with kids, and they lived in the North End. Now, those folks are grandparents, or they've now since passed away. A lot of young people with families with kids have moved back into the market because of COVID, because of tax issues in the Northeast and other places. And it was the 1960s. It's all over again. And if you look historically, if you watch The Swans that was on TV with Truman Capote, which is hysterical, by the way. It's funny as can be. Or the other one's coming up, Palm Royale or something. These things are funny is what they are. And I find them fascinating. This is a place it's consistently steady, and it's not reinventing itself. It's a brand. It's a destination. It's a world-class destination that when you have professionals like Levi Blasdel and Scott Snyder and Jeff Sofer and the rest of the gang who are involved there, I've said this out loud. It's a perfect place to live.
It really is.
Do we have issues? Yes, we have issues. Every place, but for the most part, to come here on vacation, whether it's one of our great hotels, our amazing restaurants, or you buy a property here, I have to believe that everybody has a threshold on what projects they will and will not take. But I also see you and Scott, and you guys are open to talking to anybody. Because you want them to be happy here. I mean, I want people to be happy in the Palm Beaches, whether it's on the island or West Palm Beach, which is exploding, by the way. And I would think that that's also a great market for your entire group because the houses there, they used to be cheap.
Yeah. I mean, the houses now in West Palm Beach are the same prices of Palm Beach 5 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's getting more and more expensive. And all the houses, for those of you listening, there's a big river that runs through called the Intercoastal Waterway. And the houses on the West Palm Beach side that are along the water are gorgeous and they're very expensive. We're talking $15, $20, $30 million for houses. And they're gorgeous and they're amazing. So West Palm Beach is great. So Scott Snyder, does he have a website? I hope. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's Scott Snyder, INC, ScottSnyderInc.com. And you can find a lot of our projects are up there. And then again,
it's a beautiful website.
If anybody's looking for anything, we're currently, I'm going to soft shoe this a little bit, but we're currently working on a book of Scott's breadth of his career.
Wow.
One thing that Scott does different than anyone else is we still do hand drawing renderings, watercolor renderings for all of our projects.
Seriously.
Yeah. So we're putting together a body of work of the 40 years that Scott has
worked. Like a retrospective or something?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Is it going to be a coffee table book? Is it going to be
it's going to be a coffee table book.
An exhibit somewhere also, and maybe?
I don't want to say too much without giving we'll have a book launch when the time comes. But definitely look forward to seeing all those beautiful watercolors.
What that makes me think of in one of my previous lives when I produced and presented Broadway shows is the costume designers did watercolors of all the designs of the costumes. They were not beautiful. They were not drawn on computers. These were hand sketched with the colors and amazing. So that's amazing. So you're listening to Your Palm Beach Guide. I'm Doug Evans, the president and CEO of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. It's a beautiful place. I've been here with Levi Blasdel today, who's with Scott Snyder, who's not only a chamber member, but he's a pal of mine and is a joy to be around daily. So come to Palm Beach and meet him. Say hello to him. Come here for vacation. Come here for a holiday. Come buy a house here, for goodness sake.
Come see us at the chamber.
Come see the Chamber of Commerce. You can always do that. That's fun. Come to breakfast. We always make it a great time. It's early in the morning, but it's worth it with 500 or 600 of my closest friends. So tune in again next week. We drop these every Wednesday to wherever your podcast, your favorite streaming location is. And it's Doug Evans, the president of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. Go out and make it a great day and come to the Palm Beaches. Take care.